think I can be heard. I'm having some issues with the audio. Okay. Greetings. Welcome to Community Radio. I'm your host, Kim, and we are back. Today is Thursday. And before we get started, let me just uh, send out a few quick announcements. I wanted to remind you all that for classes, you can go to seduluhouse.com for if you would like to join the ministry, you can go to anewlifeglobal.org and sign up if you wanted to be a part of the women's group that we have on Mondays or the men's group. I know that the men's group is getting together. I'm not sure what stages they're in right now, but if you'd like to be in that group, I have gotten, I think, a couple of emails from some men that I forwarded on to the leader of that group. So if you'd like to be a part of that, make sure you send in your information. Send us an email at questions@anunation.org, and I'll make sure I get it to the right place. Let's see, what else? We've got, again, let me make this announcement too. The number for the show will be changing in December. And so I'll send out reminders and give you more information on that. You can still use 347-945-7680 until the end of this month, but in December it will be changing. So make sure you pay attention to the announcements and the flyers to get the new number, okay? Let's see. Okay, I think I'm on. Okay, so today, again, let me remind you all that this is an open forum. There is no set topic, but sometimes I'll go ahead and I'll try to think of some things to cover just to get the ball rolling. So I know the title today is Black Love, Men Need Respect, Women Need Love. And that's something that I wanted to explore because I've noticed that in the recent shows that we've been doing, we've been touching a lot on just male and female relationships, specifically between black men and black women. And it has gotten, a lot of those shows have gotten a lot of feedback. People are really talking about them. So, and I'm getting, messages about them daily. So apparently this is something that needs to be explored. And so now I kind of wanted to get into a little bit of just some of the dynamics of the relationships and why we have these problems sometimes. In previous shows, you've heard people just kind of, expressing, not even on the show, they've been doing it in the comments, but they've been expressing anger. There's been a lot of disrespectful things said back and forth between the men and the women. And it just kind of goes to show that, we don't know how to talk to each other. And we need to kind of understand what our roles are in the relationships and what each one needs to make the relationship work. So starting on Tuesday, I think I'm going to tackle this subject of men need respect, women need love, and we're going to kind of split that up and do a separate show on just what the men need and what the women need. And I kind of touched on some of those things in Tuesday's shows about what's disrespectful for men, because for the most part, a lot of us women don't know what is disrespectful, and sometimes we get the two mixed up. Like women feel like they need just as much respect as the man. So trying to understand what each other needs in the relationship can be difficult, especially when you're raised in American culture, when everything is kind of turned upside down and confused, and nobody's sure about what the roles are, because this culture kind of teaches us that, women can do everything that a man can do. The men are, emasculated. The women are always, the roles are just not defined. And then, it even, on top of not defining the roles, then it's like nothing is gender specific anymore. So it's like, I don't have a gender. I'm genderless. And, anything goes. But if we examine those couples who are in power and the people that are really, making moves in this country, they're not following those rules. That's those romantic fantasies and all of these other things that were brought up on in American culture. Those are things that are fed to the general public. And as a result, we've kind of adopted those things, and it's ruining us. You know, a lot of women, there have been movies that come out that say that, black women will never be married. And I forget what the percentage was, but that was a big deal. And I remember when that came out, I think Sanaa Lathan did that movie. What was the name of it? I can't remember right now, but where she started dating the white guy. And that was like a huge thing because people have said for a long time that black men go outside of the race all the time and date, but sometimes black women don't do it. So with that, I remember with that movie, it sparked a new conversation of black women dating outside of their race. And it seems to have kind of just exploded from there. I don't remember what year that movie came out either. I have to look it up real quick between breaks. But I remember like there was like this explosion of now black women are exploring, other options because black men won't commit. They won't get married. And it just kind of made me think about what our requirements are and, what is marriage? What type of marriage are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody to, you got to sign the papers with and, go to a courthouse or have a ceremony? Is it ceremonial for you? Is it legal for you? What exactly are you saying that black men won't do? Because I find that for the most part, especially in the South, you have people that are together for years that aren't necessarily legally married. So is that not valid? Is that just as valid as, say, like a legal marriage? And so anyway, just with that, there have been, a lot of complaints from the women about what black men don't do. And on one show, we tried to get into that. And I asked, why are black women so angry? And we didn't have very many responses, on the show, but we had a lot of comments afterwards and a lot of emails afterwards. And for the most part, there wasn't any real answer. Nobody kind of pinpointed anything specific. It was just kind of a lot of ranting. And when we had the chance to kind of flip it and ask men why men were upset, we had men call in and men were expressing things. But then that's when the women wanted to jump in. So it's like, when we were asking the women directly, no one was saying anything. And then when it was the men's turn to talk, now the women want to come in and just kind of be combative or I guess to just kind of have like a back and forth. Well, the men are saying this, so, they had to say something back. And so we got more comments, on that video as well. So it's just interesting because it's like, when you're asked what the problem is, you can't define it. But, the men were very specific in what their disagreements or problems were that they had with Americanized women. So that has been the discussion, Americanized women. It's not just Americanized. I'm not just speaking of black women. As I was doing some research, I also found that, women of other races that are raised in the States are going through the same thing. Let me take a quick call real quick. This is 904. Greetings. You're on Community Radio.
Greetings, Sister Kim. This is Tareen. Back at you.
Greetings,
How you
Tareen.
doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well as well. The movie that you were talking about is called Something New.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. My future wanted to be baby mama Sanaa Lathan.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Something new.
Yeah, that's it. Something new, and it was, interracial relationships and everything. But this what I wanted to ask.
Okay.
With my philosophy about Americanized marriages is concerned, I wanted to know, do you think, because I think that Americanized marriages are set up, it's a business, it is a business decision because it's like you got to have a business field on your license and everything. And I just feel like it's a way and this is just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but I feel like marriages in America is a way, since it is a business decision, it's a way for the government to put their hand in the business too. Like they can capitalize off of your relationship, whether it lasts or whether it, being divorced. You still got to pay the government. You still got to pay the court.
True.
You got to pay the lawyers to break up. You know what I'm saying? And I always wondered, and I do ask, women that I do, interact with, and I ask them, I'm like, why do you think that, first of all, what's the difference between two people that are married and two people that are going together, that lives together, and they've been together, for quite some time now? Because I don't know the difference. And, and on top of that, with that same thing, why do marriages not last longer than two people who are, as the good Christian would say, shacking up or whatnot? Why do people who shack up, quote unquote, last longer than people who are married together? You know what I'm saying? It seems like that. Like once if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you live with that person, no marriage or whatnot, y'all can be together for years and decades. But it seems like as soon as you put that ring on the finger and you say your I do's in a church and you sign that contract, all of a sudden it's like twists and turns, and now I gotta, go through this that I've committed myself to, and which the government is waiting to get their money off that divorce. So I may be warped, in my way of thinking, but it just seems like that's reality in the United States of America.
Okay, you had a lot to say in that question. That could probably fill up the whole show. Let's try to break it. Let's break it down a little bit. Even as you were speaking, I was just thinking about, because I have talked to women about this before, and every time I think about legal marriage, and like you said, the government gets paid if you're together, because it is very much a business agreement. They get paid if you break up. It's either way, like they have a hand in it. So it just reminds me again of plantation living. Like even back then, like how were marriages handled then? It was more of like a business transaction too, because you were allowed to get married so that you could, make more babies. Well, whether you got married or not, they were still gonna get their slaves, you know what I mean, so that they could sell, buy and sell more stock. And I kind of see it the same way, because even then I think you had to have permission from massa to get married, or whatever as well. So even back then, like they had a hand in who you were mating with and why, all these kind of things. So for me, like legal marriage is like an extension of the same thing. Now, I have spoken to other women about this, because we talked about this. I remember when that movie came out, and there were a lot of discussions around it. And I heard a lot of women say that for them, marriage was some sort of security blanket for them, because they felt like if they got into the marriage, like it would make it harder for the man to leave. So for them, it was like a way to kind of keep him, because they were like, they know the man's not going to want to go through all of the legalities of trying to divorce this, trying to divorce them. And so some of the reasons why the women felt like they needed that security is because they're like, well, they were in the prime of their life, and they're deciding to settle down with this man. And so if they had to break up, it would be harder to start over because they're older now and all these kind of things. So that, I'm not saying any of that is correct, but that's what I was hearing in different circles. So that's one of the reasons why women want to have that legal paper. Now, as for the whole shacking up, kind of thing, um, I'm not sure what the statistics are on that, like whether or not they stay together longer than married couples. Have you done that research? Do you know for sure, or is that just your experience?
No, sister, I haven't done the research. I just find it, well, with the people that I've talked to, and like I said, I haven't done the research, as a whole, but it seems like to me when two people who are, in a relationship and they live together, it seems like to me that they together longer than from what I've heard from people who are, married or, in that type of relationship. It seems like, people who live together and been together, they be together throughout, with kids, going through middle school, elementary, high school, and then they get married after they done graduated from college.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? But it's like with two people who are married, it's like, oh man, if you can't make it past this 5 years, this first 5 years talk, then it's like, dad, you gotta have 5 years. It's the bar. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you was in a relationship,
yeah, that's true.
5 years it wouldn't have been no bar. It's just like, okay, we can do this forever,
Right. Yeah, I think for most women it's like just I don't know because I like I said I've heard different positions on it. But maybe they feel like and I think the whole legal marriage thing just boils down to money. It's like they know that, in certain states if you divorce, you can get alimony, excuse me, or things like that. And then it may have to do with, just thinking that you kind of own a person. You know what I mean? It's like that paper, isn't that a song like I got papers on you or something like that?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing, man. That's another thing too, sister. Like men, I don't know how many sisters are listening, on the radio show, but men don't like that feeling at all. Like we hate to feel like we are
trapped.
Right, or trapped, in this situation, and to where it's hard to get out or impossible to get out.
Yeah.
And we hate that feeling.
Yeah, that enters the legal marriage documents. That's why they do it. That's one incentive to do it. You know what I mean? And you know what? Even as we're talking about it, I just had an image pop up. How have you noticed, like even on TV shows and movies and things, the woman, like just from childhood, she's like fantasizing about her wedding day, and even when that day, even when that day comes, it's like most of the women get upset because the men aren't as involved, and they're just like, look, just tell me what time to be there, and it's because of what you just said. It's like a man probably sees it as like marching orders. It's like he's walking to his death. Like you put it. Now I'm walking into this little cell. This little trap, this little box, and I'm not going to be able to get out. It's going to be a struggle for me to get out. So men see it as that. Women see it as like, oh, this is her own little personal fashion show and party where she can invite her friends.
This is your day. This is your day. With the women, it's like, this is your day, because at the marriage, usually at a wedding, the man already be up there at the pulpit waiting on the wife, waiting on the bride to be. And then the bride to be comes. She got her own little song. Everybody got to stand up. Everybody got to stand up and acknowledge her coming down the aisle.
Right.
And it's just
that's
like,
so true.
With a woman, the mother is like, oh, I'm so proud, I'm so happy for you, but with the dad and the son, he like, are you sure you ready for this?
Like, this is it.
Are you sure you want to do this, son? You sure?
Right.
This is the one, right?
Yeah.
So it's a double dynamic with it when it comes to, you know, Americanized weddings or anything, man, because a dude feels like that. Like, he's like, oh, my God.
So do you think it would be different if, okay, say you didn't have the legal part, the legal aspect of it, and you just had the ceremony? Do you think it would be different if it was just the ceremony and not the you know, the all the documents and you know, all the legalities involved? Because it seems like, you know, if it was just for the women, if it was just about the ceremony, like, they wouldn't have a problem. I mean, if it was just about legally being married, then the ceremony wouldn't be a big deal. Like if somebody said, okay, well, let's just go to the courthouse and get this done.
Right.
Like, for a lot of women, they're not satisfied with that. They want the show.
That. I want the church. Right. I want the church to come.
Right. So they want more people involved. And I really don't see anything wrong with, like, getting your community involved in what's going on, because I think traditionally that's what we did. Like, the community, first of all, the community was involved in who you chose, you know, because, you know, the families knew each other. Everybody knew what each other's roles were within the community. You know, I know your mom, I know your grandparents, your cousins, your friends. You know, they watched you two grow up. And so everybody kind of got involved in it, you know. So I can understand, you know, like having the ceremony. But I think kind of what turns the man sour, maybe, and if I'm wrong, correct me, is just, you know, you got the ceremony, which he plays second fiddle to her in. You know, like you said, he's just sitting there waiting. Everything's about her. She got, you know, flowers thrown before she walks down the aisle. You got people bringing all this stuff.
You got the dude singing in the background. She's yours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the whole, all the bells and whistles for the woman, you know.
Yeah.
And
so
I think that without the legality thing, I think it would be okay. You know, because, you know, a man wants his woman to feel like that, how she feels on her wedding day. I don't see no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just with a man, I think, because I've never been married, but I can think that with a man, it's like, okay, you making this decision to be with this woman for the rest of your life. And if you made the wrong decision, you got to pay. You got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Dearly, you got to pay for it dearly. So that's the main scary like thing that men go through when we, you know, go through our marriages. Or we gotta know that, okay, out of all the women in the world, this is the one that you choose to be with for the rest of your life. Through sickness and health, till death.
Till death.
If this marriage messes up in any kind of way, shape, or form, you got to pay for it. I mean, you got to pay for it with your money. You got to pay for it with what you built. You got to pay for it with your credit. You got to pay for it. You know, and that takes a toll out on, you know, on the man, like, because we really can't enjoy the pleasures of living in that fantasy world, you know, because of the system that we live in. We got to deal with reality on a daily basis.
Right.
You know, so that's what really hits us the most, I believe.
Okay. It's just, like you feel like you're about to be trapped for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the only way you get out of this trap is if you pay for it, like, dearly. I mean, half of everything belongs to her.
Well, okay, let's talk about the whole shacking up thing that you suggested. You know, if you just decide to live together. I think, I'm gonna again say what I've heard other women say. Like, for them, Like that's okay, but it doesn't send out like an announcement to everybody that she is now taken. She now has, this man. Like for women, like they want everybody to know. And I think that
Yeah.
has to do, I think, of course for her, like that does something for her, but I think it also kind of sends out a signal that she wants everybody to know, like, this man is with me. You know what I mean?
But
So
right.
I think it's an ownership thing. So if you're just living with somebody, like there's no ceremony. They didn't get to, have, the parties, the engagement parties, the bachelorette parties, the housewarming, all this, all the ceremonies that are centered around two people coming together to make a decision like that. So it's less formal. And so they feel like if it's less formal, it's not as important to you either. So
okay.
because there's no formality around it, like we just one day just decided to just move in together. Like for the woman, that's not that doesn't say anything like to the world to her. Like there was no acknowledgement in her community or anything about there wasn't like there wasn't anything joyous, I guess, attached to it. There was no there was no pomp and circumstance around it. It was just
Okay.
two people deciding to move in together. So there's nothing there, and so they feel like because of that, like you don't even see it as as important, because you think about it, when you get married, like think about how much money a man can spend on a wedding. You know what I mean? And
Uh-huh.
we, of course, we know how dear money is to men. And so
Right.
it's like if a man will part with, when they're getting married, part with so much money or dedicate so much money to all these ceremonies around the wedding. When you're just living together, it's just like, okay, come on, we'll split the rent. So it's
Right.
like, so I guess to a woman, it doesn't feel as official. Like there's
Oh,
just nothing attached to it. We just decided to move in together. So,
okay.
I think that's part of it. Those are some,
Is
some
that
things that I've heard.
Sister
And
Kim?
then, uh-huh.
Okay. I was
Oh, I was
gonna ask,
going
like, with that
to,
part right there, is that an egotistical thing? Like, because when you say I want the world to know that this man is mine, okay,
right.
but what does that mean? Because he
Exactly.
still could. That just lets the world
Right.
know, or let other women know that,
Mhm.
okay, because I've heard that married men are attractive to single women sometimes.
Right. Right.
Or they're more attractive because that shows
Mhm.
the stability and
Right.
security and stuff
Exactly.
like that. So it's like, in my warped thinking, excuse me, quote unquote, I'm thinking, okay, why would you want the world to know what
Mhm.
you have so they could try to potentially take that or mess that up?
Because
Okay.
women also know that other women like temptation. So it's like they can almost taunt other women with it. It's like you're saying you're sending out a signal to the world that this man is mine. Don't touch him.
Okay.
Like yeah, he looks good. He's able to commit. He has he's successful. He's this, but guess what? He's mine. You can look at him, but don't touch it. And then because they have that legal agreement, they know that even when these women start to come at her man, he's gonna think twice about it because, like you said, he got to pay to get out,
Right.
to get out of
Okay.
it. So it's almost like
A
a childish
win-win.
kind of. It's almost like a childish kind of look what I got. You don't have it, like
Right.
I have something you don't have, and he's not going anywhere, even though he probably will, because most men do have other relationships outside of marriage. But
Right.
the fact that he can't legally marry somebody else still gives her a one up on another woman because she'll say, okay, well, maybe he's sleeping with her every now and then, but guess what? I still get the money too. or or something stupid like we'll find all types of stuff to justify having that legal agreement. But I think that's part of it as well. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a whole I got something you don't have thing too. That's why they want other people to know.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe if I'm wrong.
I was thinking like that's like throwing taking a knife and cutting yourself and throwing it on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my blood. You can't have it.
Yeah, it is. But it's like it's almost like this is mine. In the cute, in the shiny, in the pretty, it's all mine. It's mine. It's all mine. You can't have it. It's like a.
And it makes people scheme and plot. It makes other people scheme and plot to take that to say, oh no, I can have this. You can't tell me what I can't have. I can have this, or yada yada.
They can have a piece of it. You know what I mean? At the most, they can have a piece of it. But because she has that legal contract on you, she knows you're not gonna go too far.
Right.
It's so funny. I know some couples that are older that even have been married for a long time that aren't even together. Haven't been living together physically, for over 30 years, but they're still legally married. So I was like, what's the deal with that? And it's just what you said. It's like they realize, okay, we don't want to be together, but we're not going to go through the legalities and all the money and everything that it takes for us to split up, so we'll just stay together.
Right.
So, I even wonder about that because I don't know about, what are the legal ramifications, because sometimes these people aren't even in contact with each other, for 20, 30 years. So, how is that working? How is that happening? You know what I mean? Because, like you said, it's very much a business decision.
Right. And, I mean, and men, I think, men get married because they want to have that foundation, that situation where, okay, I got my wife and kids. I know my wife is my significant other is taking care of home and, things like that. But it's just like, I just
that's a
think
good question. Why do men want to get married? Or do men want to get married?
I think men want to get married because the woman want to get married. Like, for the most part, I can't say all. I'm not speaking in generality or saying that all men want to be married like that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for the most part, I think that men would give in to getting married to a woman because some women give that ultimatum. Like, look, if you don't want to put a ring on it, stop wasting my time, and I'll go and find somebody who will.
Yeah.
And we are territorial by nature. We like, well, I don't want nobody else. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
My girl, so I guess I gotta do this in order to keep her around. But for the most part, I think if men could be with a girl and just be living with her and they just live their life without having to sign no papers and stuff like that, I believe most men would do that.
Of course.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's like, and my ex told me, because we had this conversation too, like, my ex told me, well, that's like having your cake and eating it too. And I'm like, ain't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, she doesn't see
like,
the
what
bonus
you do with cake?
So what do you do with cake?
You're supposed to have your cake. What you supposed to do with the cake?
That's true.
So I mean, no, I try to make reason out of it, but she just
I think
like
the women are just looking at it like, well, what do I get out of it? Because they don't have. There's no. I guess they look at it as there's no incentive as to if we do it that way, there's no incentive for you to stay with me. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I've heard women say this, and this comes from older women too, is that they know that their stock goes down with age. So if they get with you, during their prime, when they're in their prime, during their fertile years and everything, and say, you stay together for 10, 15 years, and then, things go south and you're not legally married, she's like, okay, now, she's like, okay, what do I do now? I've invested a lot in this relationship for 10 or 15 years, if they have truly invested a lot in 10 or 15 years of the marriage. And now they got to kind of start over from scratch, and they see it as something difficult to do. Now, I'm not even saying I agree with that, because I think, there are a lot of incentives for single women out there. I think it's just women realize they got to work a little bit harder now, when they get older. You know what I mean? I think that's, they know that they can kind of be taken care of when they're a lot younger. And so if they, after they're older, they can't have children anymore, or if they're just older, it's harder for them to enter the work field. It's harder for them to get a job later in life. So they say, or, because I could have, the one thing that I've heard is like they had a career and they stopped their career to have babies and to be your wife. So whether or not that's true, because we can argue that too, that not necessarily. They feel like, they can't start over again fresh at 35 or however old they are at the moment. So they kind of see it as their stock is going down, like the dating pool has gotten a whole lot smaller. So it's going to be harder for them to start over.
Oh yeah, and I agree. To a certain extent, with that, because it is what it is. But it's like with men, most men don't divorce anyway.
Right. That's
true.
You
know what I'm saying? We once we in a relationship with a woman, or and we've been there for some years like that, like over decades, like it's really no divorcing in a man's mind. Like he don't want to, have to go through that either. It don't matter how his wife, turns out to be, or as she get older. It's just I think when they go through those midlife crises, that be a major problem for the women. When the dude get older and he feels like he got that new, I'll say that breath of fresh air where people, where women,
things are worked out. He's in shape. He's got his money right. Got the business going. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean that he wanna just dump
Are you
his
still there,
wife. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Hang on just a second. I think my audio is acting up. Give me just a minute here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and just because, and this is just my opinion, that's not saying that I'm right or wrong, so all y'all that's commenting, this is just my opinion. Okay. I don't think that the man would dump his wife, especially if she's been good to him, taking care of his kids and doing all this. He's just because he got a little swag, a little clout, and he got his money together, and other women are checking for him, and stuff like that. He may go out and venture out and dibble and dabble with another woman, but that don't mean that he don't love you because he did that. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's a misconception that Americanized women have of their men. Like, okay, because he stepped out on me, he don't love me no more. He don't want me no more. And that's not the case at all. with most men. You know, I
okay,
feel
so
like,
what is the reason? What is the reason for doing? Because I think a lot. I understand what you're saying, like, but a lot of Americanized women do have an idea or adopt the concept of monogamy, and they do feel like if you step out, that's like the end of the relationship. So
I use
for
this
them,
analogy
that
all
does
the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I use this one all the time, Sister Karen.
Okay.
Once again, this is my philosophy, okay?
Okay.
I'm just hypothetically speaking. Let's say you and I went out on a date at your favorite restaurant, okay? We went to your favorite restaurant. You get your favorite dish that you always order, and everything. So, okay, cool. You got your favorite dish, and so I ordered something that you've never seen before or never heard of before. Matter of fact, it might be a new dish that they, introduce into the restaurant. Okay, when they bring their dishes out, when they bring our dishes out to eat, okay, you look over at my plate and you like, oh, shoot, that actually looks good. Let me taste it. And you take your fork and you take your fork and you go on my plate and you taste whatever steak or chicken, whatever it is on my plate. Does that necessarily mean that you're going to throw your whole plate away because you tasted something on my plate?
Right.
That's basically the mindset, I think, of how, most men see it. Like, okay, I got this plate, but I might want to, see what that's like. But that don't mean that I want to throw away my relationship with my wife or throw away, my kids just because I went and, mingled with this young lady over here on the side. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so that's my analogy. That's basically how I put it, for women to understand. Like, there's nothing,
I think for a lot of women, that's hard. That is hard for them to understand. Just because of the culture that they were brought up in. You know what I mean? And because we've talked about this before, is because they don't have their own sense of worth. Like, so they only feel like instantly if you do something like that, like their value is gone now.
And it's not the case. That is so not the case at all. You know what I'm saying? I feel like innately, and this is, I keep saying that this is my opinion, but I feel like innately, most, men, when they get of power or of statue, or I think it's natural for them to have, multiple women. You can look at, all the great kings of the past, or the prominent men of the past, nobody was, even though they was married, they wasn't monogamous solely to, their wife. Like, for instance, Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali or Elijah Muhammad. I mean, King David, King Solomon, everybody had more than one wife. You see what I'm saying? And I just feel like, hello?
Oh, hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
And
I was just saying.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that kind of goes back to understanding culturally. I want to say culturally, male and female roles, because in African culture, like, monogamy was not promoted over polygyny. You know what I mean? It's like we've always had, men have always had more than one relationship. So it wasn't so strange. I think it was Christian or American culture. I don't even want to say Christian, but American culture that has kind of got us into this thing. And you know what? I think if women understood, too, because the government can also benefit from that, off of monogamy, because it's okay for you to be married and have so-called illegitimate children, to where you have to pay child support and all this other kind of stuff, too, because they get a cut of that.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of saying, well, you know what, I have more than one wife, and guess what, I can take care of everybody. So you don't have to dip your hands So you're not dipping your hands over in our pockets for this. You know what I mean? So it kind of cuts them out, cuts the government out financially. So I don't think people are looking at this from a financial standpoint either, that this is the reason why monogamy is promoted. Because like you said, most men in power do have more than one woman. And it's understood. It's understood between the women. Yeah. I'm going to pick up another call real quick, Tareem. Let me go to, you can stay on, though, and feel free to chime in when you like. 323. 323. 323. Greetings. Okay, they dropped. This is another 323 number. 323. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Sister Kim.
Peace. How are you?
Fine. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to chime in.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, his analogy of the dinner.
The dinner.
The problem I have is, what if that dinner? What was something wrong with that dinner?
Which
now
one?
we both are sick from that dinner.
Something is wrong with what dinner? With my dinner?
Yeah, something was wrong with your dinner. Now we're both sick from your dinner.
Yeah, that's a possibility, sister.
You see, and I don't have.
But what if it's not? Because I know a lot of times when we throw these scenarios out, like, people, if you want your point to be justified, you'll throw out an extreme like that. So let's just say that's not a possibility. What if nothing is wrong with the steak? I mean, with whatever it is he's eating. Okay, so let's answer that. Let's go there, because sometimes. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, I may not have a problem. I may not have an issue with that, as long as it's discussed beforehand.
Why does it need to be discussed?
Why does it need to be discussed? Because at least I need to know. I need to know where we're all at, where we're going. So if I know where we're going, then I can expect that. If I don't expect that, because in this culture, Americanized culture, it's promoted that this is not supposed to happen. So my expectation is there. So if my expectation is, if I know that it's going to happen, then okay, it is what it is. And I signed up for it.
Okay, but culturally, we know that for us, this is not the case. I'm even going to say 99.5% of men are never, ever going to have only one woman in their life. That's almost impossible.
Oh, yeah. Even Jaheim made a song
That's almost
about
impossible.
Even
to just be
Jaheim
with one person for your entire life. I don't know any man that has done that. I'll tell you something. One of my friends told. We were discussing this, that she said, and she's married. She said, "Look, if you can understand that most men are either thinking about cheating, they are cheating, or they have cheated, just accept it and just be done with it. It's going to happen at some point in time." And I don't even like to use the word cheat. Let's not even use that word cheat, because that implies something else. But understand that either a man is thinking about doing it, he's doing it, or he has done it.
And that doesn't mean that he loves you. I'm sorry, Kim. That doesn't mean that he loves you any less because he does that. That's the misconception. I think women think that he loves you less or he loves her more because they had a one-night stand or whatever, and that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. It's just the physical act. Like I said, even Jaheim made a song about it, like, how come we always doing wrong even when we know the ramifications and the consequences, and we still do it because I feel like it's a strong urge in every man a strong natural urge in every man to be like that, because if he can be his natural self, he will be his natural self.
Right. So what do you think, caller? I didn't catch your name, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Crystal.
Okay, Crystal. What do you think?
Well, you know what? I really don't know. I can say this.
Okay.
I assume I'm married. I've been married, 18 years.
Mhm.
I assume my husband has cheated. I have made that assumption.
Okay.
You know, there are signs.
Mhm.
There have been signs that he has, and so I assume that is what it is.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't. I say, I'm gonna tell you the two things that I say that I don't want to share would be my man and my children.
Okay.
Everything else, I don't mind sharing my food. I don't mind sharing the money.
Why do you not want to share your man?
I believe he's for me. I believe that is for me. He is for me, and I am for him. If I'm sitting
but why
here,
why is it that he can only be deep down? Because I'm really just trying to get to the root of it. Why do you have a problem with sharing him with, especially when we know the condition of our people? Like there's a shortage of men in families, and all this other kind of stuff and everything. You said that's not your problem.
That's not our issue at all.
No.
So that's not even a concern for you. But why? No. So deep down, it's just it's mine, is mine, is mine.
That's the one.
You can't have it.
Seriously, that is the one selfish level I can be on. I've always said that. But now I'm not naive into thinking that, because he has told me that. Okay, he said prior to marriage he did cheat in our relationship, in our dating, and so I'm like, okay, well, I assume some things because we were always together. So when we weren't together, all of a sudden on the weekend, well, he was doing something with someone because he wasn't home. So okay, well, it is what it is, and that was 20 years ago. So if he has another relationship, because you just said, like, okay, you assume that it's happened, so you don't know for sure, but it's like if you don't know about it, it's okay. Is that what you're saying? No, because it I'd rather know. I don't like to be blinded. I hate being blindsided. So if you found out today that he does have a relationship with another woman and everything, then what? I'm going to be hurt, obviously. Are you going to be hurt? Leave? I'm going to have to work through it and figure out what it is that I really want, and if that's something that I really want to be in. Mm-hmm. So is all your worth as a woman tied up in is the worth that you give yourself as a woman, is all of that wrapped up in your identity that you have possession of this man? No. Okay. No. So I'm just trying to break down this whole thing about just jealousy and not being able to share. But you did say, like, you don't care about the rest of the community. So well, I'm not trying to sound like that. I mean, not that I don't care. But the thing is, can I say this? The thing is, sure. Okay. I have a friend. Her mother got married 3 times. Since we were little, we've known each other since we were 10. Mm-hmm. In that span of 30 years, her mother was married 3 different times. Okay. And to me, in my mind, and as I grew up, what I realized watching her mother get married, her husband, they did pass on. But in my mind, it was saying, there isn't a man shortage. What the shortage is your mentality. That's the way I perceived it as a little girl. A young,
okay.
I perceived it as, okay, it's how you think about how you approach things. So to me, like right now, just because I am married, just because I'm not in the best shape that I used to be, doesn't mean that there aren't any men out there attracted to me.
Okay.
And so, and I know for sure. I'm gonna say this again. I know for sure that women are attracted to my husband. I already know that. I know the women at his job. They told me he likes certain things. I'm like, well, he don't do that at home. So I've seen the way women react to him. He works in the professional arena. He's a nice looking man. I understand that. I understand when he sees a pretty woman. I see her too. And I don't bitch. I don't complain. Excuse me. I don't know if I can curse. But
is it because you have this binding legal agreement that will just kind of blow his world up if he decides to partake?
No. It's because in myself, to me, he said jealousy. I don't see myself as being jealous. I don't see myself as being insecure about that. Because I believe
where does the not sharing come in?
It's just that's not sharing doesn't mean I'm jealous. I'm not, I might not share my hair product. Doesn't mean I'm, jealous of your hair. I'm just
no. But you said that you'll share everything else, but not your children and not your man. So me just coming from a cultural aspect,
I just think
your children.
I just think that is mine. I think that it's I guess it's a possession thing. I think it's for me. And not to say that my husband hasn't, I'm the only woman he's been with. Obviously not. We have pictures right now of his ex-girlfriends in the photo album in the house. Most women don't accept that. I know most people want to, throw away their past. Well, he's had a past. I can't, I can't throw away those pictures and say he didn't have a past. He had one before he got with me. It wasn't like we got together. It wasn't like we got together, we were 18, 16, and we've been, we were a little older, and, he went out, I went out. I had a good time in my 20s.
Right.
So it's just I just think that, this is the way
it's a cultural
monogamy.
thing. It's American culture. Because even historically, Christian culture wasn't necessarily monogamous, and definitely for African people, we definitely weren't. And another thing in African culture was that, first of all, your children were not yours. The children belonged to the community. And so we didn't have a possessive attitude like that. It just wasn't natural for us to be possessive. So the point I'm making is that in trying to adopt all these Americanized ideals, which most wealthy and the people that have created American culture don't even follow. It's completely unnatural. It's unnatural, so you're operating in an unnatural state. And I'll put it to you this way, and traditionally, our culture is patterned after nature, right? So if you take the sun, moon, and stars model, and or the sun and the earth model, like she says broken down before, he says that, of course, male energy is positive energy that goes out, so it's represented by the sun. There's only one sun in this solar system amongst all of these different planets, so that one energy can sustain 9, 10 planets, or however many there are now. Sustains life on all of those planets. Like you said, there's a lot of earth. Women are earth because we're a receptive energy. We receive things. It's a lot of earth. Only one sun. And so if you could withstand one person or one earth took all the energy from the sun, it would burn you up. It would obliterate you. So it's just like when you adopt these sort of ideas, it's almost like we have to look at it and realize how out of balance with nature and how out of balance we are with who we are naturally, just understand, why do these things not work out for us? Why are we miserable in this? Because for the most part, like Kareem was saying, like, men don't want that. They do it just for the woman. And so they do kind of sneak out or have other relationships with women and all these other kind of things because they are more true to their nature. Like women, we absorb everything that's around us. We absorb everything. So we've kind of absorbed this American culture and this idea of, it's mine, mine, mine. I'm not sharing. It's only me. I'm possessive. And it's possession, and it does have to do with insecurity and jealousy. Even though you say it's not, but it does. So it's like, go ahead, Terrain.
Oh yeah, I was just basically trying to elaborate on, the same thing is like this. I would say the Americanized culture that we in, even the Europeans that gave it to us, they don't practice that.
They don't.
Because
they don't.
Because they were men back then, the slave owners they raped our queens and mothers and sisters, even though they were married. You know what I'm saying? So it's still, that nature of the man is to have like multiple women or multiple, wives or whatnot. Because even they did it. But they taught us this unnatural way so that they can capitalize off us being, misled. You know?
And I just wanted to throw in the part just about patterning yourself after nature and realizing how out of sync you are, is because when we started getting into African spirituality and magic and, all this other kind of stuff, and spirituality, all this other stuff that we claim to be a part of, like, all this stuff is nature-based. So you can't be effective in it if you're operating, outside of your nature. If everything that you do is counter to your natural disposition. So it's not natural, is what I'm saying. And that's why we have a lot of problems. I'm going to pick up another call real quick. This is 347.
Hello.
Greetings. Yes.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been listening to both. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, the gentleman there, and I've also been listening to the stream, and also the woman on the phone. I just have a couple of comments.
Sure.
I think as far as I think Shireen was saying, well, why is it a big deal for women? Like, why is the marriage necessary? I think was because I kind of caught it in the middle of the conversation. And I would say me growing up in my family, we have Muslims, we have Hebrew Israelites, and sometimes the women were legally married to the man and sometimes they weren't. Now, if this is something that men would like to do and participate in, it needs to be done from a perspective of responsibility. Because sometimes what happens in the Hebrew Israelite community and in the Muslim community is that they're treating, I can have this wife and I can have this concubine, I can have this, that, and the third.
Right.
But then they're actually just using a term, but treating everybody like a girlfriend.
Okay.
And it happens. It happens. And I do understand the fact of the way how legal marriage is done in America is not fair on men when it comes to divorce. And if that's not something that a man wants to do because, it's really the way how the divorce works, it does usually work out on the women's side, why not do something like a cohabitation agreement? So you are married, but you guys both spell out what happens if things don't work out. Because you can be in love with someone or, care for someone in your 20s, and maybe both of you are two different people by the time you're 35. And it's okay. You understand? But if we have things spelled out, what's to happen if there is a breakdown, that's fair for both sides. That's something too, because the law does protect women when it comes to marriage.
It does.
It doesn't necessarily protect men, which I can understand the unfairness in that. So why not at least something legally binding, like a cohabitation agreement?
Okay, so to the other caller, the other lady that's on the call, I didn't catch your name either. It was Crystal, excuse me. Crystal, if you're still there, what about what she just proposed? She said, what about just having, like, an agreement between the two of you? Do you think that's a problem? Like, what if we say, he doesn't necessarily want to be legally married to where we got to go to the government to decide that we want to be together. Let's just draw up a contract between the two of us about what the lawyers is going to be. You still want outside validation?
No. Okay,
that's outside.
Wait a minute. I have no problem with an agreement. Now,
I'm saying just an agreement between you and the man. No lawyers, nobody else outside.
I understand that. I have no problem with that. I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
I was just bringing, a different perspective of what he said about the meal. But
yeah,
I have no problem with that. Now, at my life now, I have no problem with that. I've always said that if I had not, I wish I didn't have the wedding. I said the best thing about having the wedding was that my father walked me, the thing of my father giving me away, because my father passed away the next year.
Okay.
And he had 6 daughters. I'm the only daughter that he walked down the aisle. So that was the best thing about it. But otherwise, we could have I spent the money. We could have done so much other, many more things than have a wedding. I tell my children now, honey, you don't have to have a wedding. If we could do it in the backyard.
Well, I'm not talking about the ceremony. I'm speaking about the legal agreements, because for the most part, like, the ceremony is understandable. Like I think it should be, like, celebrated by the community and your family and whoever else you'd like to invite. I understand that, but I'm speaking about, like, the legal agreement. What if you and the man just say, look, let's just make an agreement between the two of us. We don't need lawyers. We don't need to go to the government or justice of the peace or whomever to validate what we're doing. Is that not good enough?
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm saying now, at this point in my life, I mean, if you would have said this 20 years ago, obviously I wouldn't have agreed.
Why not?
Because, I was in, that. But right now, if you say
why not? I mean, we can say that now because you've been married for so long. You have that legal agreement. But for those who are... Okay.
Because I understand now. I have a different understanding now.
Okay. Okay.
So
do you think contracts can change? Can the contract change?
I think there should be some open for change. I mean, I think I think you should have a contract. Because I do agree with marriage is a business, and it's a business, and if it's a business, then you need to, everyone needs to play their part, and everyone needs to work the business. So I don't have a problem with a legal contract without the government being in it, because personally at this point I really wouldn't want them to be in my marriage. I don't want them to be in my marriage.
Okay.
Okay.
You hear that,
I hear that, but that don't, like she said, that's now that she's already got that. But if it was to be at the beginning, just like her, every other female don't want to hear that.
Exactly, and that's the point I was trying to make.
But I just think they're not educated. If the more education you give, and just like this dialogue that we're having is educating some people, and maybe they'll open their mind up to it. Because just listening to, it's been a year that I've listened to this this platform and other platforms, and I see I hear everything. I see what's going on, and I understand it better. I think the problem is that, you know, sometimes we go in, we're not open. I'm open. You know, my eyes are not closed. I'm not trying to close my eyes.
You just said you don't care about our community. You just said you don't care about the community or another woman or what another woman has. It's not open. That woman can be starving outside your door with her children. You will not let her in and share your man.
She don't need. She needs some food and she needs money. That's what she needs.
See, you will still not do it. So you're not open.
I told you I give her money.
See, but that's going to run out. She needs to be covered and to have protection. So let's not talk about being open, because that's not true. And let me also point this out. And the reason why Kareem said, he caught this too. He said, yeah, that's because now, and that's because you have that agreement now. Now, before, like you said, before you got married, it would have been a different thing. And I don't think it has anything to do with education. I'm going to tell you what it has to do with. Women do not trust the man that they're going into that relationship with. His validation and you two having an agreement is not enough. It always has to come from outside for somebody to say, okay, this is okay. And I tell you why that is, and that's because of American culture and because of Christian culture.
It comes from master, huh?
Right. There you go. Exactly. You don't trust your man enough to be like, nah, we signed this agreement. Like, you still feel kind of funny. You still maybe feel like, I don't think he's going to agree to this. You know, you still want something else to hold him responsible. And I've heard this so many times, like even when I look at just Christian relationships, I don't know how many women I've heard, you know, try to guilt men into doing something they want because they say, well, you know, the Bible says, well, Jesus said, well, the guy, you know, they always got to have something to hold over the man to make him feel guilty. Like he can't just be the authority. Somebody else outside of us has to be the authority. And that's the problem with having an agreement between just you and him. And why, like you said, back then you would have had a problem with it, but now you don't. You still would have a problem with it. And I think that because you're married now and because you've been in this relationship for so long, now you've softened a little bit and maybe have some different opinions, but I don't think they're that different.
May I chime in?
Yes.
You know, I wonder, and this is just a combination of what I've been hearing from lots of the archive shows. I just figured out how to be able to call in today. Is it because I think part of the problem is that being raised here, we're really not taught how to pick.
Right.
And what I mean is because as women here were taught how to pick, trusting wouldn't be a problem because you would have went through that trusting process already.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think, and I also think because outside of the U.S. there are many cultures where the man and woman do not go to the state or whatever.
Right.
Number one, because of number one is definitely money because it doesn't make sense to spend money on that. And number two, I also think the community that they're in, that when the community sees that those two people are together, like I kind of feel like they're socialized to know that you just don't. I'm not saying people don't break up, but I think they're socialized to know that, well, I don't want the embarrassment of the community because I just left my man for some foolishness, or I don't want the embarrassment of the community because I left my woman and the children for some foolishness. So I think the community plays a part in that too, as far as people don't want to be listened to some of these shames, so if they have to break up, it has to be something for real and not surface. And I don't think necessarily that is here in the U.S. anymore, as far as like, in general, if there's a community of people where, okay, the people don't necessarily have a legal agreement, but they're together, but someone can easily, man or woman, can easily just leave or whatever, leave and do whatever they want to do, without any sort of shaming or without feeling like they need to take responsibility, because the community of doing that just isn't here. And I did want to make a comment about the dinner thing, and I do understand what I think you said Shireen.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's talking about. Kareen, I'm so sorry. I know two women right now who they're not together with the person anymore, but they basically, their ex-man went out for that dinner and brought back some bad dinner.
Okay.
So as you know, if that you want, I just for men, if you're gonna go out to try another dinner, please be responsible in the way and how you eat.
Yeah.
That's very important. Many men are not. Because the feeling is so great without the protection.
Right.
And that's a very big thing.
That is a big problem. Yeah.
To go back on what you were saying about the community being holding the couple responsible for them being together, and those two people knowing that if they split up, that there are, like, you don't want to be shamed or you don't want to be looked at as being the irresponsible one in the relationship. That all has to do with the culture of the people in that community and the moral codes that are in that culture. So that is the problem. That's what I was saying when we talk about this. We're speaking about Americanized women and American culture, because there is no more. Well, there is a moral code. We're supposed to be a so-called Christian country, but nobody really operates like that. It's really just kind of take what parts you agree with and leave out the rest kind of thing. It's really not enforced. Like I don't know too many. I'll put it like this: I really don't know too many Christians. I don't think I know one.
Not hardcore, hardcore Christians.
Right,
like
that really adhere to the tenets of that particular religion. But that's the problem. It's like we have our communities. We don't have communities. A lot of them are split up and divided. The only people that you'll find, like, in an honest, serious community, like you were saying, you got the Nation of Islam, you have Hebrew Israelites to an extent, you have like the Mormon community, or people, or what America will look down upon as cults. They'll try to attach that stigma to people who have said, okay, you know what, let's get together, let's get some land, let's do our own thing. They kind of look down on those people and call them cults, which is only a shortened version of culture. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just It does happen. It does happen. And like you said, I think that in the relationship, going into the relationship, things just have to be defined. Like, there should be a contract. I know in Chief's book, Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, that whole book is about how to mate, how to choose a mate, what are some questions we should be asking each other before we get into this relationship. Everything about how to put a contract together, an agreement together between each other is in there. in that book, so I would definitely recommend that book. But I just think, even with all that, American culture is what is the problem, because even if you have an agreement and everything, you still have women who feel like everything still is not enough. We still got to be validated by somebody outside. Like, I still don't trust you. Like, you're not really going to we need a lawyer, we need a judge, we need somebody to put a stamp. We need Massa to come in and promise me something if you skip out on this contract. And we only look at it, and we only really look at it like if the man breaks the contract, there should be consequences. We don't even look at it as like, okay, what if the woman breaks the contract? What should the man get? We're just looking at it in terms of what the woman should get if the contract is breached.
I saw with the cohabitation agreement.
Go ahead, Serene.
I saw.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, like, on the flip side of that, the man don't really get too much, when it comes to the woman stepping out. But to the sister who was addressing my analogy or whatnot, I just want to say this, too. Like, with that analogy, I was just trying to open your mind to understand why we do what we do. If I could do it for, you know what I'm saying? For like, that's all I was trying to do. I was trying to open your mind to see, because most women want to know. I gave him everything. I've done this. I've done. Why would he go out and cheat? Like, and I was just trying to give you an analogy to help you to understand why we do what we do. That's all that was.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you something too, caller. You were saying that one of the problems is that the man will treat everybody like girlfriends. Two questions actually. What's wrong with that? And if there are different roles, can you break down what the difference in the roles are?
Okay. When you treat, when I see a wife. To me, husband and wife to me represent long term, and you guys are going to be raising children together, and you guys have different goals that you're going to want to attain throughout your lives, because they may change throughout. And to me, it's that commitment. Girlfriend is, you get on my nerves, you get on my nerves, I don't want to be with you no more, bye. There's no sort of responsibility. There's no sort of, it's just a girlfriend. In other words, to me, wife and husband is commitment, and you're putting all your eggs in. When you're boyfriend and girlfriend, you can have one in, one out.
Well, can a married man have a girlfriend?
I know I'm coming from there. I mean, he can, as long as he is going to be responsible. It can't be like, okay, well, I have my wife, and when she gets on my nerves, I'm with my girlfriend, and I'm not dealing with her anymore, and she can and screw the kids, and she just has to her own.
See, that's what I was talking about.
Right,
that's what I'm talking about. Like, y'all think that women are, for the majority, and it may be, well, it is the Americanized, the European mindset that they portrayed on us, but that's what they think. Women think that, okay, I'm the wife, and if he gets another woman on the side, then he's not going to love me and my kids anymore.
Right. That's not what I'm saying.
That's not the truth.
That's not what I'm saying. I totally 100% understand what you're saying. But
so what do you think the girlfriend should get? What do you think is right for the girlfriend?
If they're in agreement that she's going to be a girlfriend, then whatever they do together is whatever.
Who's in agreement?
The girl and the girlfriend and the husband.
Okay.
If they're in agreement that she is the girlfriend, whatever it is, it shouldn't take anything from what the wife and children, what his responsibility. His responsibilities from his primary family should not go down because he has a girlfriend. Because having more than one woman is a responsibility. The son has a lot of responsibility.
So do you feel like the girlfriend shouldn't get anything? Because usually when we say that, we're just saying, like, he should just, he's just having sex with her and she doesn't get anything.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, okay, I give an example of an archive show that I heard yesterday. I don't know when it was, but because I just didn't start listening. And he explained that in his culture, from his father, that he didn't necessarily have wives, but he had children with different women. But he took care of all of them.
Right.
He took care of the women, and he took care of the children, and wherever else he had. If he's keeping his responsibility, that's fine. But if you can't take care of one woman, and you having problems taking care of one woman, maybe master that before you go out. Now, if you want to go, like you said, go out for a dinner, a little taste once in a while, fine. Then maybe you shouldn't be necessarily looking for a girlfriend. You may look for I don't know what you would call it. Maybe a once in a while dinner, because I understand that men do need some variety. But but what I'm saying is that, you know, if you're gonna have a wife and a girlfriend and maybe 2 wives, 3, you need to be able to master that. It's not an easy task. It's not just fun and games of variety.
No, it's not.
There's other things involved. And I don't know if I'm not confident that the average American male can master 3, 4. I'm not.
Well, what is mastery of it? Does a woman have to define what mastering that relationship is?
I think maybe both do. I think maybe both do, because it may be different in every. I think when I say both, I mean the man and the woman.
Mm-hmm. Why does the woman have to have say in how he masters the situation?
I do think she does have some say, maybe not 100% say. The reason why I say that is okay. I'm gonna explain. Explain.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, he wants to have a girlfriend, and now in order for him to have a girlfriend, she needs to work 10 more hours at work in order for him to have a girlfriend.
Okay.
That, to me, then I think she should have to say, okay, if you want a girlfriend, I shouldn't. Because
I mean, most of the time the man is working all the time anyway, so you're not going to have all of his time.
That's understandable.
You can't. Yeah, you don't dominate all of his time, so.
That's understandable.
Whatever it requires for him to be a man, because, see, that's the problem. And, see, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about always having somebody outside to validate. Like, women always need to have, we feel like we always got to have a hand in something. Like, a man can't just set the rules and that just be it. Like, no, I gotta have a say in this too, or you're not doing this properly. You're not doing this the right way. Like, who defines what the right way is? Because the man, for the most part, is the one who decides that. And it's like either you agree with it and you can be in a relationship, or you don't and you can leave. And so it's a lot of times most women will do that. It's like, you know, well, I'm okay with polygyny, or I'm okay with you having another woman just as long as I don't see it. Or I'm okay with it just as long as you can take care of everybody. It's always as long as there's always like something else added to it. Well, I'm okay with it if this. I'm okay with it if that. No, the man just sets the rules, period. He says this is how it is. If I have to work extra hours, if I have to adjust some things, you just have to roll with it.
Okay. When I said extra hours, I mean, if the man has to work extra hours to do it, that's okay. Of course, that's on him. That's what he wants to do. I'm saying I don't think that the woman should have to work extra time at a job for him to be able to have a girlfriend. That's what I'm saying. So she's going to work extra time.
But if that's what keeps the family going, and if that's what keeps the man satisfied or happy or keeps the relationship together, and makes the relationship stronger or better or expands the family or whatever benefits come from it, why can that not happen?
Okay, so if there is some benefit to it, let's say she says, all right, you know what, fine, I'm going to work the 10 extra hours and, you know, and to see the benefits in 6 months to a year. And let's say there's no benefit. It's just her getting more tired and she has to still take care of all the other responsibilities. I'm just trying to see the fairness. He's okay with it, but if she's, to me, it just seems like you're putting more responsibility on her so that you can be more happy.
Right. So is it not okay to want your man to be happy and being in that happy relationship and making him happy? If you have to do a little extra, what's wrong with that? Why can't you be happy in doing the extra so that he can be happy? Why do you have to benefit from him having an extra relationship too?
I'm not saying I have to necessarily. I asked because that's something that you said as far as the if there's going to be an extra benefit.
No, I was just saying because you were saying that if he has a girlfriend and he has to work 10 extra hours, it's not fair to the wife.
No, not if he has to work 10 extra hours, that's fine. If that's what he wants to do, you want to work 10 extra hours, you want to work 40 extra hours. If that's what he wants to do, that's fine. What I'm saying is that I don't think that the wife should have to work 10 extra hours at work.
Okay, so it's okay for him to have to work extra, but not her. So that's my point. Why is it not okay? Why do you not feel like you should have to do a little bit extra to keep him happy? Like if him having this other relationship is what he wants, whether there's a benefit or not. If that's what he demands, I ain't going to say demand. If that's what he says, this is what I'm going to do, and you have to adjust, why is that not okay?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I know that I don't necessarily want to go. I know that I personally wouldn't want to go to work for 10 extra hours at a job that I don't, let's say, I'm not 100% about.
Right.
Sister,
for him, I don't have 100% answer for it, except for the fact that I know I would rather be home than working 10 extra hours. Now,
that's the point. It's not just even the 10 extra hours. It just kind of boils down to, I'm not going to do anything extra for you to be able to have another relationship. I don't care if it does make you happy. If it affects my comfort, it's a deal breaker.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know too. Like, why would you or why would she have to work 10 extra hours because of the relationship? I don't understand that part.
And see, that's that's my point. I
didn't hear what he said. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Oh, y'all were saying, like if the man decides to get into a relationship and the woman got to work 10 extra hours, that's what I'm not understanding. Why does
that
10
extreme
extra hours?
Right. Why does there have to be an extreme? And that's my point. It's like whenever we have these examples, we always throw in an extreme. It doesn't even have to. It doesn't have to go to an extreme. And that's my point. It's like for women, when we're asked these questions or put in these scenarios, like we always go to an extreme. But the point is just that for the most part, women are uncomfortable with the man just setting the rules and you adjusting, period. Like if he says, I'm going to do this, and doesn't even have to give an explanation or a reason why, and you just have to adjust to it, like it's a problem.
Can I?
Even if there's...
Sometimes, we all have opinions, right? And we all think that our opinion is valuable. And I think that sometimes
not all of them are.
Maybe not all of them.
That's from Chief. Go ahead.
We do have an arrogance, because I spoke to my friend about this. Oh, let me get out the bathroom. Sorry. My husband wants to buy a car. Yes, can you hear me? I'm sorry. My husband wants to buy a new car. He has not said anything to me about buying a new car. My son told me.
Okay.
So I said, well, I guess we'll see it when we see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need other things that new car, before the new car. But that's what he wants to get him a new car. So what I did was, because he did happen to say he liked a particular car, and I know that's the car he wants to buy. So I said to myself, oh, you like that car, huh? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I just started talking to him about when is he going to get it, what color is he going to get.
Okay.
Because he made the decision he wants to buy the car. Who am I to stop him from?
Okay.
Even though my car is sitting broken down, but who am I to stop him from buying a car?
Okay.
But I still figure somehow I'm going to win. Yes, we are selfish enough to say somehow it has to be about us too. We have you need to include me. I think I should be included in that decision. Everyone else was included in the decision.
Mhm.
He talked to his mother, he talked to his aunt, he talked to his cousin, he talked to the children.
Do you think there's a reason why he didn't talk to you about it?
Maybe he was buying the car for you.
No, he wasn't. He not. No, you don't buy the car for you. Gonna buy from.
But why do you think he purposely didn't tell you? It's a reason why. He knows, and
But see, and so I said, okay, let me be. I'm trying to be softer. I think that I think I am soft. I think I'm very soft. I think I'm. You say no.
I'm just joking with you. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
I was to say, wait a minute now.
I don't even know you. I'm just joking with you. Go ahead.
I follow what you do. I am not a leader. I'm not trying to be the leader. I'm not trying to run everything. Not at all. Not me. That's not. I'm following. I'm following you. Whatever you're doing, that's okay. That's what we're doing. Okay, no problem. Value my opinion. And I think as women, we do need that validation that our opinion matters, and we do get arrogant and think that only our opinion matters. And I try not to be that way. It come out because it's just the way it is. Sometimes we do things unconsciously that we're not really thinking about. That's what we're doing.
That's the culture.
Yeah. You said that's the culture.
Yeah, and so it does require thought. I want to be able to support, so I'm saying, okay, I'm on with it. He getting the car, whenever he gets it. Whenever he gets his money together to get his car, that's what he.
What do you mean his money? Oh yeah, well it is his money, but you even as you're speaking about it, you are upset about not being included in that decision.
Correct.
You can hear it. Mhm.
Oh, got it.
And so and that's kind of the point. I think this culture has kind of made us believe that everybody says like we should be equal in the relationship. I should have just as much say as he does. Do you think the relationship is like that? Do you think you are his equal?
No, I don't think I'm his equal. I think relationships are. I think let's say the percentage fluctuates. It could be one day 50-50, and the next day it could be 60-40. Either way, I think it has to be open for that fluctuation, because some days somebody's gonna need more than the other. Somebody,
but in terms of leadership and making decisions, do you feel like you should have a say?
Yes.
Mm.
Not all,
Why?
but yes, some.
Why is
because
that?
I think, well, personally, I think I see a bigger picture than him, and he, like.
Oh.
Yeah,
wait a minute. You think you see a bigger picture than he does?
Can I say it? Like health insurance?
Okay.
He picks the health insurance. He goes in and he grabs the cheapest one, and that's it. And then we have to deal with the ramifications of the cheapest one, where we have to pay more money here, there, blah blah blah. It's just not feasible.
To you. Okay, because now let's break this down for a minute, because you said, okay, so you would probably rather go with the option where the premiums are higher and you got to pay more out every month. But one of the things that you said was that you see the bigger picture and he doesn't. And I think that is kind of, I'm going to say, like, that's off. Because, again, going back to the sun, moon, and stars model, or the sun and the earth model, the sun has way more reach than the earth, than the planet. It shines on everything. It has more of a presence than earth does. So when you say that, okay, so let's go with his option. Say he chooses an insurance policy where when you do have to go to the doctor or whatever, you have to pay a little bit more for visits or whatever the case may be. And then you pick a higher premium, or you got to pay more out every month. And maybe still when you go to the doctor, like, you might still have to pay something. So you said that you see a bigger picture, but he's looking at it like this. First of all, we don't even go to the doctor that much out of the year.
Exactly.
But that's
we might go once a year, once or twice a year. So paying a lower premium and not having to pay as much when I finally do go, this is the reason why I'm choosing this, because we're spending more money doing this and we're not even utilizing that service like that. So the fact that you don't even see him as having a better vision than you do, that's kind of disrespectful.
Okay.
It's like you're saying, I know better than you.
That's how men think. We like,
right.
Okay, my family don't go to the doctor like that, so why am I spending all this money on some insurance that I may not even use?
But can I say that we go to the doctor? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
We do go to the doctor more often than what he thinks we're going.
Why is that?
That is because I have some health issues, a little minor things.
Let's stop right here. Is it not the woman's role to be holding it down in the kitchen and everything else as far as health goes, so that you don't have to go to the doctor?
I do.
We're supposed to be all these wonderful women and witches and magical and all this other kind of stuff. We can't prepare meals and learn more about our bodies and how to take care of our families better, so that we don't have to go to the doctor?
I would love to for my health to change. I would love that. Thank you. I do. I'm the person who cooks most of the time. I cook a hot breakfast. I cook a hot dinner.
But is it healthy? It's not the fact that it's hot or whatever, but the way that we prepare our food and the food that we feed to our families is what contributes to our health problems. If you think about it, the only reason why you get sick is because of what you're putting in your body and what you're exposing yourself to in your environment. So that's the woman's territory.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you're saying that it's his fault. Now we got to pay. I'm telling you, I need you to pay more because I'm not holding it down where I should be holding it down.
Okay. I want it to be included in the choice. I want it to be included in the choice. He has made the choice for the last 18 years. Unless when I was working, I made a choice on my stuff. When I was working, so it was different. I want to be included in the choice. To sit down and say,
Do you think he's not considering you when he makes a choice? Do you honestly think he's not? Do you honestly think he's not thinking about you and the children when he makes a decision?
Honestly, for that, I really don't. I think he's looking at it as this is what. I don't think he sees the need. I don't think. Do
you think a married man is not making decisions based on the needs of his family? Really?
Certain needs he does not see. Certain needs he does not see.
Why do you think he doesn't see it? Men are very aware. And see, that kind of goes back to the conversation we were having on Tuesday, where women think men are just these idiots that don't care about certain things.
Now,
I think that women don't realize that, like, men think about those things. It's not like they're neglectful, like you would like to, well, he's not thinking about this, so I know he's not thinking about that. He's thinking about all of that. When he knows that he's the head of that family and he's respected and seen as the head of that family, he's aware. So to say that I don't know. I mean, I think you think about that before you say it, that you don't think that he's thinking about his family when he's making his decisions. Maybe you don't think, maybe you're not, maybe when he makes his decisions, and we talked about this on Monday night, maybe when he makes his decisions, you're not getting what you desire. Maybe he'll get you the used car instead of the new one that you wanted, or maybe he'll give you the $100 that it requires to shop with instead of a little bit extra that you can blow. Maybe that's what's going on. But to say that he's not thinking about his wife and his children when he makes decisions, I don't know. That's pretty rough.
Okay. I will mull that over.
Yeah, think about it, because I don't think that's true. Maybe it's just that you're not getting, like I said, maybe you're not getting what you desire, but I'm pretty sure he covers the needs of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's where the problems come in, because just like Chief says, men should provide what women need, not necessarily what they want. And that's because what we want changes from 1 minute to the next. I want this right now, and then 10 minutes from now I might want something else different. So you got this man in a constant state of flux. He don't know what to do. Well, you just told me you want it. Well, I want that now. So they don't give you what you want. They give you what you need. So I'm pretty sure he takes care of the needs of the family. Maybe you're looking at what you want, and he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Okay. Because he probably sees that this is not necessary, and it's a waste. It might be a waste of money. Maybe he's looking at the budget and saying, nah, this is not feasible. We're not doing that right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that he doesn't have vision. Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to put him down and say he doesn't have vision. I'm just, yes, maybe it is more of my want than need.
Yeah.
I could see that. You said I could see the fact that we can change it. We're fickle.
Mhm. Because you got food, clothing, and shelter, right? You got a roof over your head. You are clothed. Your children are clothed, and you have food, right?
Yes.
And you got electricity, heat, water. Those are the necessities. So everything else is like, these are things that we want from 1 minute to the next. Well, I want a little bit extra money that I can blow. I want a little bit. Maybe I don't want this car. I want this car. And he's saying, no, this is a better car. This is more feasible for the budget. Well, that's not what I want. So that's why you want to be included in the decision, because you want to be able to try to nudge in a little bit what you want. To have a little bit more influence so you can get what you want. Not necessarily. We're not satisfied with just necessities.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's all the little extra stuff that American culture tells us we're not happy. We're not happy until we have something else. It's got to be a little bit better. It's got to be a little bit shinier. It's got to be a little bit more up to date, or else you're not going to be happy. You got to get the newest, latest, this.
Consumerism.
Because, consumer, because it's a status symbol to everybody else. It's not based on needs. It's based on what we want. And so we translate, right, and we translate that into so many other areas of our life, not just material things. It goes back to the relationship. What's needed for the relationship to work? If this is what this man decides that this is how this is going to be ran, it's just two simple decisions. Either you're going to get with it or you're not going to get with it. And if you do, you have to adjust. And women are supposed to be that soft, pliable, transforming energy. You know, all these wonderful things that we say we are, you know, water and all this other kind of stuff, we're supposed to be that. So you're supposed to be able to adjust. And I'm not saying it's easy at all. Don't get me wrong about that. I'm not saying it's easy because you got a lot of programming to break through, you know, especially being raised in the States. But again, I'm just kind of highlighting how far from nature we've come and the reasons why we have these problems. And that's and when a woman does things like that, or if she, you know, asserts that her man is not taking care of her needs, or he's not doing for you financially what you want him to be able to do, or he's not getting you the latest, greatest, this, that, the other, to him, that's kind of disrespectful. I don't say kind of. He sees that as disrespect. Like, does that make you feel good to him? Let me ask a man. I'm not going to speak on it. How do you feel if a woman tells you, like, you're not doing enough to cover what she wants or what she needs?
Well,
you're giving her what she needs. Like, the needs are covered, but she's still saying, well, no, I still want this, or I still want to have a say in that, and I still want, you know, how does that work out?
I mean, it's not a good feeling, but I mean, with me, I would really tell her to go and find somebody who will get it.
That's
me for real. I'll go and tell her. I'll tell her, look, okay, if this is not good enough for you, you know, whatever the situation, whether, you know, I got this out of my heart or whatever the situation is, if it's not good enough and you want some, you know, with the name brand, the European name brand on it, then I'll tell her to quick, go and find somebody who will do that for you. Because women don't understand stuff like that comes with a price. When you get what you want from a guy, it's not all peaches and cream like that. Like, he's gonna require you to do something that you don't want, or to go through something that you don't want to go through. Yeah, you can get this Fendi and this Prada purse and these, you know, Manolo boots and stuff like that, but trust and believe, I'm going to go upside your head from time to time when you don't want to do what I tell you to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look at the balance of that, the offset of that, because it's not all just all good, and you can get any and everything you want, and I'm just going to sit over here in my little corner and wait for you to come back and beg me for some more stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's always, you know, stuff that comes with it, man. And for the most part, you know, we do try to get the needs. We do try to get the woman's needs, the kids' needs in, you know, in order, because you'll go broke trying to get a woman's want.
Right.
Yeah. You know, if you ain't got no tree in the back that grows money leaves, then you'll go broke. Yeah. And that's the mentality of, you know, most or some men. You know, like, we can help, we can protect and provide for what you need, but I think they under the misconception that, you know, for fulfills my wants and desires and needs.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Let me pick up this other call real quick, Tareen,
okay.
and we'll continue. We've got a few minutes left, about a couple minutes left in the show. 704.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on, people?
Greetings. Greetings.
Hey,
how are you?
I didn't know I'm doing all right. I didn't know the show was about to shut down. But
we can go a few minutes over.
Yeah, I wanted to just wanted to add my little 2 cents in with this.
Okay.
Because this is actually a situation that I've dealt with personally in the not too distant past.
Okay.
But like the sister said, she feels like, she can see more than her man. Or, I mean, if you can see more than somebody, that means you're obviously higher than them. Because the person with the highest point has a better vantage point. They can see more terrain, can see more what's going on. So, I mean, and that's a masculine concept in itself.
Right. It is.
So, that's dealing with the intellect. That's dealing with, like she said, she feels like she got more head than the head.
Right.
I mean, then who's the body?
Right.
Body's the head,
right.
head's the body. Who's doing what? So that's one of my situations I've dealt with. And when you're like that, you can't have balance.
Right.
And if you can't have balance. Hello.
Say it again, sister.
You're breaking up, brother.
I'm sorry. I was asking you.
Yeah, I'm here. But you can't have balance, and you can't have focus. I mean, then what is family going to manifest? What are we going to build together? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you can't meet me on those common planes, then if you can't meet me on those common planes, then you obviously don't have any confidence in my ability to lead,
right,
and strategize, and basically do my divine duty, which is to be a man of the family.
As a man and a husband, because she was So you're saying that he doesn't consider you in his decision. You and the family. When I think that men do. I think they're thinking about that. I don't think women realize how much men have to do every day or are thinking about all the time on a daily basis when they do have responsibilities of a wife and children.
Or is
all we're looking at
is it because that we don't express it a lot?
Yeah.
Like that?
Is that exactly? Is because possibly too that is running so smooth that we don't see it. Some people are really good at it, and you all, because you all can keep a balanced head. Because like I know if I had to deal with all those things, like I would be frantic and just I would be losing it. I'd be stressed out like all the time. I could not handle it. And so the fact that men can handle it and still be functionable and happy and nice and do certain things, it's like we don't see the stress because we know what stress looks like on us. We don't know what we might not necessarily, you all can deal with it a bit better than we do. So we're just looking at it like, because American culture again tells us like it's fun to be the boss. It's fun. When you're the boss, it's fun. You get to do this and you get to do that. Like we're not looking at it as like, nah, that's like a stressful position. That's not necessarily what you want, especially for a woman because women are so, our bodies and things are so sensitive to stress. But we're looking at it through American culture, saying that the thing we desire power. I want power, but I don't think we realize like how stressful that is. And like I was saying earlier, if we're operating in our respective roles, like let him handle that. Because when you start saying that you see better than the head or I have a better vision than he does, like the caller was saying, now you're stepping into masculine territory and you haven't mastered your own territory.
Oh yeah, and sister, I got a question too. Just to the ladies, something that always baffles me is, why do women in a relationship, they assume the power, they want the power.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then once they get the power, they lose all respect for the man that they have power over. It's crazy. It's like okay. It's like when they tell you, okay, I want a man who respects my wishes and feelings and yada yada yada. Okay, and when you get that person, you start to look at him as a weak person, as somebody who's weak, because he gave you the power that you asked for, that you want. Yeah. But you really don't even want that power.
Can I answer
that? Go ahead,
Crystal.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just forgot a question. Why do women, once they get the power, they see the man as being weak?
Somebody's like fumbling around with their phone. It's making a lot of noise. Okay, go ahead.
I think it is. I think it's because a lot of us were raised by single parents. And we saw that our mama did it, so, I could do it too. They teach us in this culture, like you said, American culture, they teach us that is what we're striving for. Because in reality, we don't even know why we're going out there to work. We're going to work to make money, to keep shelter over our head. But it's really, in this culture, it is about buying things, it's acquiring things, getting big TVs, getting, like I said, the Prada purses, or whatever, name brand. It's about consumerism instead of being about the family.
Right.
So why do you not want the man after he gives you all that stuff that you say you want? That's what he was asking. Like, once you have the power and once you have all that stuff, why is it then that you don't want the man?
The disrespect comes in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you see, I'm sorry, I think one other thing, our roles are not defined here in America. The roles are not defined. So women don't understand that. We don't understand that we're being aggressive. Coming off masculine to a man. When we, like, if you get in an argument and you say something and you get aggressive, and we don't understand that we're being that way because we see it a lot. We see it so much. It's so common. We think it's natural.
Mm-hmm. I'll answer your question.
I think women do see it. I think that they
do see it. That's what I was just about to say.
I really do. I think the big problem is they can't cut through their ego, and their ego is.
That's it.
I mean, if we can cut through their ego, we can have character. Like, we can really make moves. We can really do what we need to do instead of worry about this chicken change.
Right. That is it. I was just about to say that because I heard you, Crystal, but you were kind of going around. You were kind of still dancing around the answer a little bit. It's the ego, and Kareem is because now I'm a man. I just pumped you, so now I don't want you because you know what? That's what they're thinking. I'm just gonna say it because, like the caller said, or even Crystal says, like now we got two men in a relationship. She's competing with you like a man, and so if she can do all the things that you're not, like she just punked you. It's like she's the alpha now. So now she's not gonna want you then. In her mind, right? So no, she's not gonna want you. But at the same time, and this goes to the insanity of women, or the chaotic nature and just the unreliability and the wavering unstableness of women. The water energy, right? This speaks to the water energy. When we do get a man that puts his foot down and makes the rules, and he is acting in his role and is not going to allow you to dominate, we still don't want him. Then we get mad. Like, that's really what women want, but they don't know how to be women and be in their roles to be in a relationship with a man like that. Like, I think deep down women know that this is what you need and this is what's best for you and that's what you want and that's what's good for you. But like the caller just said, our ego gets in the way, and that American culture chip that we got in our back kicks in and is like, nah, I'm not doing it. And so, and you can even see that, like Chief has said, used the example before, and even when we're little girls, like he said, every girl in the school likes one boy. Everybody wants the captain of the football team or the quarterback or whoever. Like, all the girls want one or two guys. You want the alpha. But a lot of women don't know how to be with an alpha. True. So then you'll play around with the little boys, like Tareen said, okay, now you pick this man, he gives you everything you want, you dominate him, you making more money, but you're bored with it. You don't want it. You'll toss him to the side, run over him, whatever. Don't matter. You'll be bored with him in a little while. You'll just play with him for a little while. Then you'll go back and try to grab the attention of the alpha. And then when you hit a brick wall with the alpha and he says, no, that's not going to work over here, then you'll go back and you'll go play with some little boys again for a little while until that gets boring again. And then you'll try to come back to another alpha until he says, that's not happening over here. Then you'll get mad again and leave again. It's like an endless cycle. Like the caller said, it's that ego. We don't want that. We're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until pushing down more and more boundaries to try to break a man. And that's really what it is.
I got a question, Joe.
Yes.
So how long is how long is a melanated man supposed to put up with all this madness?
Exactly.
Like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get me a pink toe. I mean, or whatever,
yeah.
man. Like, I mean,
we've been
how long
talking
is
about
somebody,
that.
Yeah,
that's what we've been talking about. And that's what we're talking about, like in the Nate Parker shows and all the previous shows with black men who are going out of the country or going outside of American culture to get with women because they're tired of it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what? I have had some experience with. Of course, I'm not dating women or anything like that. Before, we got to look at men and realize these men have been dating women and dating for a long time to be putting up with this, to be putting up with that. They've been doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. So they have legitimate reason to be completely exhausted of it because even in my short time in just dealing with women, even on a friendship level or just a casual level, man, it's exhausting. Like if just like some of the comments and stuff that were left on some of the shows from women, and you try to talk some reason into them or try to get them to see a sane position, and they don't get it. Now I'm just dealing with you on a casual level. I don't have to have a relationship with you. I'm not trying to build anything with this woman. But the resistance and the kickback and just going back and forth with this woman for 5 minutes or however long it may be is exhausting in itself. Now think about a man who has been trying to work out relationships with women like this since he was, I don't know, let's say 14 or 15 years old. That's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's a long time. So I can understand. Yeah, I can understand why once he realizes, like, oh, all women aren't like this, like women of other cultures don't have these same hang-ups, I can understand why they may go elsewhere. And even some of the women that left comments going for the other side, telling black women or whatever, or American women to date outside their culture, I can understand that too, because now you want somebody who's going to put up with whatever you're dishing out, and they're fine with that. But more than likely, again, they're the man in that relationship because that's what they're looking for. Or, and I'll say this too because I've seen it, sometimes when black women or Americanized women date outside their culture, they put their best game face on then.
Oh yeah.
They turn into a completely different person.
No,
I have seen that.
That is the one. That is the one.
I have
right
seen
there.
it. I'm gonna tell you,
they'll turn into a totally different person.
Totally different person.
Someone, outside the race, but
yeah.
But dealing with black men is, all the, disrespect.
Let me tell you, I have seen it. I was watching a YouTube video of this one chick, and she's like, I guess this queen of swirling, black woman that advocates, dating outside the race, and her husband is white. And she was like documenting a trip or something they had taken, and in the video she was just, oh honey, oh sweetie, boy going up 2 octaves every time she talks to him. Oh baby, oh sweetie, oh honey, and I'm sitting here thinking like, I know, like had you been this adoring and sweet and just all about this man to a black man, I really don't see any women really acting like that. It's only when they get outside of the race do they look at this man with such adoration and attention and softness. They all of a sudden become soft, like the hood chick that you knew this person used to be. Like, you don't see any of that now. Like, she's super soft. She's soft, she's soft-spoken. She's just all about this man. So, I know it's not just me. Yeah. I know. Go ahead, Chris.
That's definitely a weakness.
Go ahead. Somebody's speaking. I don't know who was saying something.
Oh, yeah.
That's that ability. Oh, my bad, brother. That's that ability to switch it.
Yeah.
That's that tap dancing effect, man. That's that.
Yeah.
You leave. It's crazy, right? Because I was offering some black people a job, driving a real easy job. When they're gonna be making $15 an hour, easy money. But as I was looking, on some of these, people's faces, the type of response I got was, nigga, that's all you gonna pay me, $15.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my head, yo,
you ain't never had a job to pay you that much.
Yeah. Yo, you would have put on your best tap dancing shoes for $15 an hour, but your brother come to you, your brethren come to you, or your husband come to you, and it's now I want a buck. I only want to smile and jive and jump for the ones that beat me over the head and put their foot in my ass. So it's really a sick, man. Tell you the truth, it's really a sick.
It is.
We gotta, I'm glad our new nation is healing it. So big salute to our new nation.
Yeah.
A lot is going on. So
it's that American culture, man. I'm telling you, it's like it has got us so jacked up, and we don't even realize it. It has got us so turned around, and it's going to be hard. It's tough to get it out, but the point is you got to see where it's wrong, where it's not working. First, it's not working, and so and so that's why we were trying to have these conversations about, black men, going outside of the race, or even outside of, not even necessarily outside of the race, but just outside of American culture, to find women. And while we're going over, like, what is a man? What is a woman? What is respect? What is love? All these kind of things. Like, we got to go back through this training because American culture has gotten us so screwed up. Like, we don't know who's supposed to be doing what right now. Like, American culture tells, like, you can be anything. I can be a boy tomorrow legally.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't treat me like that, I can sue you. You know what I mean? So it's like things are so screwed up right now that our relationships are not working. It's just not working out. And, I mean, if you don't care, about African people, melanated people, whatever, you don't care, whatever, that's fine. You assimilated into American culture. Do your thing. But it's a problem for some of us who are not trying to be a part of that, or be a part of that culture, or who do care about their children growing up marrying or being with other African-centered people or whatever. And I'm not just speaking even in terms of pigment or race when I say that. It's just got us jacked up. It just really has us pretty jacked up. You got to see what our roles are. And before you try to run what somebody else is doing, just master your part first. Because honestly, if you are acting in your own role, to master that, that's going to take your whole lifetime. Like, seriously. You haven't gotten it all down. You haven't. There's so much to being a woman, and there's so much to being a man. Like, I don't have enough years to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing and do it effectively. Right. So why not just let him have that? And you'll see that once he has that, like, now he can focus on it. He ain't got to worry about you trying to come and butt in. And now he has to come at you like a man because you're stepping over in his territory like a man. Now he got to treat you like a man. You know?
And that's where the security comes in, actually. They know that they got the law on their side, so it's like it's easier to come in that space like that. It's easier, you know, and I think, you know, black women or black Americanized women are the only women that do that, per se. Like, I think they are the only women that do that as far as, like, come against their man in a space where, you know, they feel like, you know, you're supposed to be letting me in on everything that's going on in your life.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't, then I'll get an attitude. I'll go upside your head, and if you hit me back, I will call the police.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
right.
And
again, it's like women. Right. Women always had an outside authority. Like, they gotta always have an outside authority, whether it's the government, whether it's the police, Jesus, pastor, whoever. It's got to be massive. It's got to be somebody on the outside that I can call on to come and check you when you don't do what I want you to do.
Right. And that's the rift, man. That is the rift that's tearing us apart. It really is. Because, you know, the government promoted that all women, women are independent. Well, they tried to say that black women tried to promote black women to be independent. You don't need him. Be independent.
Right.
All my women, independent. All that.
All those little answers.
You know what I'm saying? Like, have your own stuff. You don't need him. If you ever notice, like, they don't do that in no other culture. No other culture do they promote the women to be independent of their man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we didn't see that when it was happening. Like, we didn't see
that was a form of attack. That was an attack. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't see the chessboard on that. So now we have to pick up the pieces with it and try to, you know, build together somehow. If we can, if there's still time for us to do that.
Yeah. And I don't think that women see the urgency of it. Like, I don't really think we're, like I said, unless you have completely taken yourself out and said, you know what, I'm going to assimilate into this culture. This is the culture I want to be in. I'm cool with it. Not talking to y'all. But for those of us that have not, like, I don't think you see the urgency in it that black men are like, look, I'll say it again, we've had and Shahrazad Ali warned us 20, 30 years ago. We had a good long run. Oprah built her career on it. She's a billionaire today because of it. Of black man ain't this, black man ain't that, black man ain't taking care of us, he's not doing what he's supposed to do, yada, yada, yada. We chanted that for a good 20, 30 years. Some of us came out of the wombs of women who fell under that programming and passed it on through our DNA on top of the rearing on top of the single parent rearing. So now we have another generation of women who are coming out thinking the exact same thing. So it's like you don't realize in this time now, men are done. They've moved on. They realize they don't have to put up with it. And on top of that, you've alienated yourself even from other women, because not only does it breed a bad relationship just between men and women, like women have become so horrible, you know, like we don't even know how to deal with each other on a friendship level and just as sisters. You know what I mean? There's none of that going on. So you don't have a man, you're alienating yourself from all the women. Who's left? You don't have anything. And so this is when you hear these reports of women growing older, single women growing older, having problems with dementia, schizophrenia, all these mental problems because they're unbalanced. They don't have anybody.
They don't want to hear that.
Serious problem.
They haven't taken. They don't want to hear that because they haven't taken responsibility and accountability. You know, that's the only way you're gonna make a change.
Yeah.
You know, all this propaganda that's going on, like you say, genetic. Mm-hmm. It's been a genetic mutation on top of the propaganda, on top of, you know, just the whole world chants down with the black man. You know, this is an old chant. This ain't no new chant. I mean, they didn't just come up with this.
Yeah.
That's true, brother. That's true. That's true, man. And it's,
how can we continue to keep falling for the same old tricks? How does don't get it? You know, it's really comical. You know what I'm saying? So it's really validation, really their own insanity, because a nation can only rise as high as women, right? I mean, that's the first thing. So, wow, I mean, you're killing your seed. So you have to take accountability, responsibility. You're killing the future. You're killing the evolution. You're killing the one that births the positive. Yeah.
And then, like I said, but you have some women who say they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about that. They just care about me and mine. I just care about me and mine. I got mine. Go get yours.
And the government, I think, you know, it's systematic white supremacy that basically took responsibility out of the black woman's hands and put all the responsibility on the man's hands. And that's in everything. That's with the pregnancy stuff that's going on. The woman has all the decisions, but none of the responsibility for real. Because she don't really have to take care of it. She can just get rid of it. But with the dude, if she has the baby, he has none of the decisions, but he got all the responsibility. Because if she don't want to, you know, like give it up for adoption or abort it or whatever the case, he still got to pay all that money. See, we have all the responsibility, but most women, they don't have none of the responsibility, and it's been bred like that, so they don't feel like they have to take responsibility or accountability for what they've done based on what this culture has imputed, you know, into our nature, into our being, you know. And that's just, you know, the real.
So many levels to this, you know, and like Chief said, he'll always go back to putting it on the men because men set the rules. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. You know, women just, you know, we got to understand that, first of all, if the man cares about you and if you are in his family, he's thinking about you. You're covered. He's considering what you need. Now, stress need, like I said, need, not want, every other day or every 5 minutes or whatever, whenever you smell a certain smell or see something on TV. I'm talking about needs. Your needs are going to be covered. Now, his decision-making and his strategizing and everything is taking care of that. So you don't have to worry about it. Stop trying to run it and stop trying to control it. He's got it. He has it because ultimately, especially if he's got an American wife, he knows that if he screws up, he got to hear your mouth anyway. Right. So believe me. So he knows the burden and the pressure that's on him. So just, just back on focus on women stuff.
And Sister Kim, you said the chief said that the man makes all the decisions, right? Am I correct?
Yes. He's a leader.
And I agree with that. Wholeheartedly. I wish Chief was on the line where I can ask him. But how do you handle it when, okay, all the decisions get away
from you want me to give you the Chief's answer? Chief would just say, get rid of it. Like, he's not dealing with it. Like, if you're not going to do what he says do, then he's not dealing with you. And you know what? It's a hard answer, but if those boundaries are set, I think women would get in line. All these problems we're talking about with not, responsibility and feeling like we can run to somebody else, or we can, get child support, we can go to the courts, we can do alimony, we can have all these other things. Like, and this starts with children with fathers and their daughters. Like, starting from there, women are trained to the man sets the rules. The man sets the rules all the time. You know what I mean? So if that's understood, we would have to get in line, because like Chief said, men want women. Y'all don't necessarily need us, but women need men. Like, we need to be covered. We need to be protected. The planet needs the sun. The earth needs the sun. If we didn't have it, all life would, cease. But the sun doesn't need earth. So again, I just got to kind of take it back to nature. Like, sun doesn't need the planet. The planets need the sun to sustain life. So if we look at it like that, all of your, but what about this, but what about this, well, what if that, well, what if that, like, all of that will stop. You drop that argument, But as long as we don't have a basis and we don't have a culture to measure it against, or we have a crappy culture that says anything goes, we can always come up with, well, what about this situation? Well, what about that situation? Well, what if this happens? Well, what about this? Well, what about, we can keep up coming with excuse after excuse after excuse. When you don't have any boundaries or a moral code or a cultural code or a culture that says anything. A family can look like anything, That's the problem. Are you still there, Tareen? Okay, I think his call dropped. Caller 704, are you still there?
704 still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Definitely. We have to keep doing what we're doing. Pretty much is just. We already know what they're doing. We already know how to distinguish the weak from the strong. So the strong just got to get together and just run over the weak. Pretty much. That's the only answer. By having all that weak, turn the other cheek stuff is why, all these other beautiful movements came to end a little too short. Along with some other things, but that was the big part of it. Infiltration from people that look just like us.
Right.
Just because you look like us, that don't make you black. What can you do?
That's
you can't even, I'm with all these black women, me myself personally, and they can't grasp any African concepts. It's sad, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It makes you lose confidence and ability in yourself to speak and put forth what needs to be given, that light. So, it's a teamwork. It's an effort.
It does make you have to. It does make you have to question, which is what we were trying to talk about on Tuesday. Like, what is black? It's a consciousness. It's not necessarily the color, and so our eyes can trick us. Because we can look real good. We can buy the clothes. We can get, we got natural hair now. We're not wearing the weaves and the perms. We got all these crystals and beads and everything on us. We can look real good. We can look real deep. But like you said, and I have to go back to Shahrazad's book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. She breaks down several archetypes in that book. And that's a strong archetype that you see nowadays. She talks about that woman who appears to be African on the outside, you know, but really not down with certain concepts. So that's what we're talking about. Like, we don't, black is not necessarily defined by your pigment or what you look like on the outside anymore. So some of these interracial relationships that you see may have a higher divine purpose, because maybe that woman, she may look white on the outside, but she might be doing more for black people and African people than you have ever done. And you might be as black as night, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, we just gotta, you know, it's tough right now. It's a lot, but we're trying to chip away at it here. And if we can be honest with each other about some of the problems instead of just complaining about them, which when I tried to ask women what the problems were, nobody had anything to say other than in the comments in the video, and those comments weren't even really valid. It was just a bunch of ranting and raving and just kind of stuff all over the place.
From both sides, though, right?
Huh?
I said from both sides, though, right?
It was a little bit from both sides, yeah, but the men were a bit more specific. Some men were more specific. It wasn't just, well, sister this and sister, you know, it wasn't just a bunch of complaining. It was like, boom, one, lack of accountability. Number two, there never is a point of when you will stop yourself and say, wait a minute, I'm wrong. You just keep going and going and going. And we had an example of that just in somebody was leaving comments. It's like we had just talked about it, that one of the problems was that with most Americanized women, once they start going off, there is never a point where she will stop and say, wait a minute, I'm wrong. I'm coming off wrong. I'm being disrespectful. I'm doing this. Let me just stop and apologize or whatever. She just keeps going with it until somebody has to put a hard stop to her, which sometimes is a physical stop. Sometimes it's somebody cursing you out. Like, why does it have to get to that point? And we had so many comments like that. Like, one female, she was just going from video to video, just leaving crazy comments. Like, at what point do you stop and hear yourself and see how crazy you are?
Yeah.
So there's never a point where anybody can stop you and talk some sense into you.
I
so
see
so it's like, go ahead.
No, it's funny. No, I mean those are the leaders. Yeah, I mean those. Yeah. I mean these are the ones that are supposed to be. I mean, they're supposed to be the community. I mean, people.
Right.
I mean, the conscious community, as people call it, whatever it is. But
yeah. Whatever it is, exactly. Because you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. Aside from Anu Nation or aside from Chief, I don't hear about these types of discussions on women's role, men's role, what it takes to be a woman. Just basic things about respect, how to behave, how to talk to people. I don't hear about any of those things in the so-called conscious community. Most of this information that I've gotten, or the most that first of all, of course, Chief is going to talk about it. The only other place I hear about it from is, guess where? In the Christian church, in the white Christian church. Let me be clear. They have books, they have classes, they have YouTube videos. I've heard it there, and let me also include Hebrew Israelite. I've heard some really good things from them. And Nation of Islam has a program for women within their culture where women are taught certain things and taught how to talk, dress, behave, you know, all that kind of stuff. But see, a lot of us from the conscious community, so-called conscious community, skipped all of that they got in the church and just dropped the Bible because, you know, we so black and we so conscious the Bible is no good now. You know what I mean? And now we just jumping from community to community trying to see where we can fit in somewhere with somebody that'll put up with our crap, with the problems that we have, because we don't want to correct them. We just want to be somewhere and fit in somewhere where it'll be accepted. You You know what I mean?
So now instead of hiding behind a pew or choir room, now you choose a head wrap and
yes, that's right.
whatever else. You know what I mean? A couple
right.
African terms that you speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. It's just become a place to hide. You know, for all those people who couldn't cut it elsewhere, who couldn't break the bad habits, or you know, or adopt the moral codes, or have some chastity about themselves. Now the conscious community is the hideout for that. The so-called conscious community is the hideout for that. That's what it's become. And it's like I said, I was so surprised. I was like, you know what? Nobody is talking about this in the so-called conscious community. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. Like I said, it came from white Christian churches. So, again, we said it earlier, you know, the so-called authority or government, they're telling you to behave one way, but they're not acting like that in their homes, in their families. That's why they can rise to power. That's why they can get some things done. They're not behaving like that. They're giving you the garbage. Their women know which side their bread is buttered on. They know. They know. Because that's one thing about white women. They're not trying to be broke. You know
whatever
what I mean?
it takes, huh? Yeah, whatever it takes. Get the job done. Yeah. But like you asked the sister earlier, you was pretty much asking, but she didn't want to hear that though. When you was pretty much asking them, you know, why can't you just roll with it? You know, if this is just plan, you know, why can't you just sit back, chill, roll with it, and do your deed? You know what I mean? Your deed is powerful enough in itself. You know what I mean? You're looking at this kingly role. What about your queenly role? What about your divine duty? What are you doing? You know, what about your self-analyzation and taking responsibility and accountability? You know, all this egotistical craziness that
you don't think he's doing his job right. Well, he don't have that vision, you know. And I'm not picking on her because a lot of women have it. Like I said, it's ingrained in us so deeply that you don't see it, and you've never had a man to point it out to you, or you've never been in a culture that can point it out to you, you know. So I'm not picking on her because, you know, like she said, she's going to have to think about some things now. So, you know, maybe it'll help, maybe not, you know, but, you know, I don't know the culture in her, you know, in her household or how things are ran. But, yeah.
No, definitely. You definitely gave her some beautiful jewels to think about. Definitely. But she didn't want to hear it. she stopped confident. You know, when you started giving it to her, you know, she was like, what, man?
Yeah.
It's I see more than him. But I see more than him. Yeah, that's a problem.
I don't think she heard herself say that. Like, she probably thought I wouldn't catch it, maybe. But I was like, what? Wait a minute. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying is, like, it's so deeply in us that it just rolls off our tongue without any thought. And you're not thinking, wait a minute, what did I just say? No, that's not what I'm saying. That is exactly what you're saying. But it's like nobody stops you and says, wait a minute, that's not right. That's the wrong thing to say. Not the wrong thing to say. That's the wrong thing to think and to be. To stop, you know, that's wrong. Nobody says that for the most part, like I said, because you're in American culture, they just go along with anything. Anything goes. That's fine. You know, you can marry a dog legally. I mean, a cat, a snake, you know, whatever it is, you can legally do almost anything now. You know what I mean? So it's like in a culture where just anything goes, nobody is going to stop you and check you and say this is right or this is wrong.
You can legally eat a horse. I never knew of that before. Like,
I don't know
of any other coaches that yeah. Do you know of any?
No, I don't know. But I mean, it varies from culture to culture because, you know, some cultures eat dog and rat and all kinds of stuff. So it just varies from culture to culture. I don't see that as anything that's strange to necessarily eat a horse because, I mean, to me, eating any type of meat is just as barbaric. You know, a cow, I mean, to eat a cow is pretty barbaric. To eat, you know, all of it is pretty, you know, I don't see how one animal is less or more disgusting or acceptable than the other.
Right.
It depends on your culture. Mhm.
I had never seen
yeah.
it. But you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
I didn't know that.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's that. But thank you for everybody that was on the call today. We have kind of, again, gone over our time. We've been doing that a lot lately. You know, these are some conversations that need to be had, I see. So we'll be back on next Tuesday, and we're going to start getting into what I had titled the show for today, which was Men Need Respect, Women Need Love. And so we're going to kind of break that up into 2 different segments next strong and try to get into what that means. And we'll talk to you then. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will be back on Tuesday. Make sure you check out seduluhouse.com as well as Our New Life Global. All right? Thank you, and enjoy your day. Peace.
Sedulu House Spiritual Center would like to invite you to join our learning community by encouraging you to sign up for our monthly webinars. Our webinars offer live interactive instruction designed to help empower you in your spiritual evolution and ritual work. The webinars we provide are purposed to help you dive deeper into the concepts and calculations of the chief Jegna of Anu Nation, Haru Yuya Asan Anu, through the decoding and exploration of sound, symbol, ancient and contemporary text, and various other tools used to invoke a state of highest awareness. We are able to abandon the constrictions of dead thought to travel to higher states of awareness, which is our rightful designation. To view our list of webinars, go to seduluhouse.com/events. Topics for 2016 include meditation, spiritual cleansing, astral projection, chakras, crystals, water magic, candle magic, the third eye, animal totems, dreams, and sex magic. Remember, go to seduluhouse.com/events to register.